I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. It's summertime, and that means it's time for those frozen sweet treats that we've loved since childhood. But hold on. Depending on the type, size, and toppings of the ice cream you're indulging in, you're consuming between 20 and 120 grams of sugar. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 25 grams of sugar per day for women and 36 for men. So that one ice cream is your full daily allowance and could be up to nearly 5 times your daily allowance of sugar. Welcome, everyone, to Healthy Cells, Healthy You. I'm your host, Janet Walker. I've been working in the healthcare community for 30 years, and for 16 of those years, I've been a writer and producer for the award-winning national PBS health information programs American Health Journal and Innovations in Medicine. We've interviewed thousands of doctors, scientists, and researchers on every topic related to health, medicine, and medical technology. You can watch current episodes of Innovations in Medicine on your local PBS channel, or you can stream our programs on the American Health Journal channel, the Better Health channel, and TV Healthy Kids. This podcast is sponsored by the good folks at LifePharm Incorporated, a company whose innovative cellular repair products are backed by extensive science, research, and clinical studies. Last time, we spoke with scientific advisors for LifePharm and experts in the area of nutrition and supplementation, Professor Kimberly Lloyd and Dr. Samina Ahmad. Today, we continue that discussion and talk about a study on LifePharm's product Extrim Shape that's giving us another tool in our arsenal for managing our blood sugar levels. Welcome back, Kimberly and Dr. Samina. Thank you so much for being here and for helping us learn about this important health issue. Let's talk about food a little. I know, Dr. Samina, you mentioned a little bit about diet, but I just wanted to go over that again. What diet do you recommend to help lower blood sugar, and what things should people avoid?
So for me, a diet which has a lot of vegetables, especially a vegetable like broccoli is amazing, and fruits. And then fruits are also the berries, cherries, apple, peaches, and pear, because we have to be very particular about which fruits to eat also, because there are certain fruits which have natural sugar in them, but it might not be really good for a diabetic. So like I mentioned, the fruits which I just did, these are good. And then having a low fat dairy, and you can have lean meats like chicken, which is, skin without the skin, turkey. So you have to be very particular about trying to avoid, having a very fat-filled diet. And the grains which I love are quinoa and barley, and healthy fats are okay. And what are those healthy fats? We know that we can have some nuts and avocados. I think mostly we are gravitating towards the Mediterranean diet when I say all that I just did. And what do we want to avoid? So we want to avoid some fruits, like I said, which are very sweet. And these would be mangoes, bananas, papaya, watermelon, pineapple, and also people who have canned fruit. I wouldn't encourage that. Dried fruit also has more sugar than we need. And juices, I don't know if you've seen the labels, but Janet, almost like 26 grams of sugar in these juices that are in the market. And sometimes I wonder, like if you and I have a glass of juice, I'm sure, let's just give an example of apple juice or orange. The glass of juice probably has 3 apples in it.
Wow.
Will you and I ever eat 3 apples in a go? We don't. So we need to be real about that. And I would definitely urge people to cut back on certain things like fried foods, sweets, sugary drinks, salty foods, and fatty foods. You need to avoid that.
So that's interesting that you talked about fat and fatty foods more than like breads and white flour, that sort of food. Kimberly, what sort of a diet would you recommend for someone who is concerned about their blood sugar?
Well, you have to be careful. The high protein diets or keto diets do not make sugar, and they take more energy to break down fat and protein. You burn more fuel to break those down than you do a classic carbohydrate that's like in a pasta or rice or the monosaccharides, the table sugar or disaccharides. So we don't want too much of this easily dissolving carbohydrate to get into the bloodstream. It shoots your blood sugar real high, and that's called the glycemic index. And then when it falls back down, it can even go lower than the maintenance of your normal blood sugar, making you extremely fatigued. So we're trying to encourage people to kind of eat a balanced meal, protein, lots of vegetables. You won't get near the sugar out of squash and broccoli and cauliflower and salads and lettuces and other types of carrots and things like that. You get the least amount of sugar from vegetables. You get a little more in those fruits and fruits. But remember, an apple is only about 50 calories. So that's much better than eating a candy bar of pure sugar, a chocolate candy bar. 1 or 2 apples would do you much better than a candy bar, right? There's 350 calories of pure sugar that's going to go right into your bloodstream and tip your blood sugar way over the level. And then back to the aging process, when you've done this so many times, you've thrown that symphony out of balance, and now insulin doesn't respond, and the pancreas is getting old. And so that's back to the onset of being older and having to watch for high blood sugar even more than when you were younger.
What about packaged and processed foods?
So I remember, Kimberly, you and I were discussing the aftermath or the dangers of hidden and added sugars, right, which are lurking around. And you think that the food is healthy, but when you read the labels, you realize, oh my God. And I've seen that so many times because I love reading labels. And Janet, I like to see how much sugar is in every package, but I don't think a regular consumer does that. You go into a shopping store and you just say, hey, it's just a granola bar. It must be healthy. Let's just put it in my cart. Or you'll probably get an oatmeal cereal, but it'll be instant. And the instant oatmeal is going to have 10 to 15 grams of sugar in it. So usually when people have breakfast, they have some yogurt, I think. Right? And they'll have a bagel, some orange juice. But when you add up the sugars from all these, 6 ounces of low-fat yogurt has 15 grams, bagel has 9, almost like 9 grams. If you put cream cheese on it, 8 ounces of orange juice is like 22 grams. You end up eating 46 grams of sugar. This is only your breakfast. Now, guess what? You literally, took more than your daily intake in one meal. You still have 2 meals to go. And I feel that is what we need to be on the lookout for. We must be very careful about the packaged and processed foods. They have extra sugar, hidden sugar that you don't know about. And please read the labels because it all adds up.
So, talking about the recommended allowance for sugar, what is the recommended allowance for women, for men, for adults for their daily sugar intake?
Well, we looked up a value from the American Heart Association, which will be expert in nutrition, and that's about 24 grams a day, Janet. That's about the equivalent of one small, medium glass of orange juice for the whole day.
And that is about 6.
And that's for women, actually, Janet. That's for women. And for men, they have given them a little more concession. They can have 36 grams.
So we're talking about maybe 6 or 7 teaspoons, right? That's not that much.
Correct.
Especially if we're reading labels and seeing how much sugar is in absolutely everything we eat and drink.
And so, Janet, if you had an 8-ounce glass of orange juice in the morning with your breakfast, you're already done with your daily requirement of
Wow.
sugar. No more.
I remember in the old movies, in the 50s, they always drank a small glass of orange juice. You're not meant to drink a great big one.
Right.
And you've brought up a good topic. What do we drink? Colas are full of sugar. There's more than your daily amount in one cola drink that has sugar in it. And those are, not good. They're trying to get those out of the schools and encourage children not to drink them so much. But, you maybe go to teas, herbal teas, mint tea, ginger tea. You have to switch over also, or just Lipton, your good standard brands of tea, to try to get your family to drink iced tea or hot tea rather than so many other types of sugar drink. They're all sugared. And then the apple juice, because it's concentrated, will be kind of high in sugar. It's more concentrated in sugar than eating the raw apple, because the juice has been squeezed out. So that's a good point. You have to watch the juices, even the natural juices.
Is you don't fill your tea with spoonfuls of sugar. I know
Yeah.
my friend from
Just
Mississippi
three.
makes this sweet Southern tea. It tastes more like ice cream than tea. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Janet, most of these teas in the market, in these containers, you must check the back, and they say it's basically supposed to be healthy and everything. But if you look at the label again, 22 grams of sugar I've seen. But what Kimberly is saying with the apple, I do want to, sort of mention something here. A lot of us will want to drink a glass of apple juice or any other fruit juice without realizing how many apples or how many oranges were squeezed to make that one glass, 8 ounces. Now, you and I doubt that we would ever eat 3 apples, but that's how much is in literally a glass of apple juice. So we end up consuming more of that fruit and more calories. And then we all know that when you eat more calories, all that becomes what? First of all, it goes in the body, becomes glucose, and then gets stored as fat. So we are going to put on more weight. And those are things we need to be very mindful of. That we cannot do that. It's just that you have to take your health in your own hands. You need to take the right actions and try to limit your sugar every day.
So let's talk about taking the right actions and limiting our sugar. Now, aside from the foods that affect high blood sugar, what other lifestyle choices can help us reduce our blood sugar?
I've personally felt, Janet, that the biggest thing that causes people to get diabetes, after the diet, my other thing that I really put as number 2 would be stress. And whenever I take the history of a patient and I go into the depth of how and when the disease appeared, it seemed like the person was not handling their stress well. They were over anxious, those people who overthink, worry about everything, or are trying to do more than what they should. So their adaptation is not really good. There is no balance in their lives. And anything in excess leads to disease, right? So I think here we need to definitely tell people that take care of your diet. And we've talked about it a lot during this podcast, about all the things they need to be mindful of. But more than that, then exercise would also be something that I would put in there. We are living a very sedentary lifestyle. Our children are not playing outside anymore. Maybe COVID taught us to actually go out and explore that more and, love nature. And we need to incorporate those aspects where we are really making an effort to use our bodies, exercise, move a little more than what we do. Because imagine eating so much food and then not moving. And I understand that we are also hooked on our electronics. There are people, there's like these games that they play in front of a television, and they don't even want to leave the television, the TV or the game that they're playing, to get up and go to the washroom. A lot of times they're so addicted. Their food arrives there because they're going to call the one of these food
pizza
sort
delivery
of companies to deliver, they will leave that room for 1 minute to just pick up the food from the door and come back and start playing these games. And I remember my dear friend Galina and I, we did a lot of work on checking people's energy levels. And I remember we would see that people who have a lot of electronics in their life, who are always on the phone or maybe for 5-6 hours are checking their, messages or watching television, movies, we saw that their energy levels were depleted. And we could make that out through certain monitors. We have certain technology to see that. So I think all that needs to change. Don't skip your meals, manage your stress, do some kind of exercise, stay hydrated every day. And for me, the best beverage is water. I have to tell you, nothing comes close to that. We need to drink that clear beverage, which is water, because we are made up of water. Over 70% of us is water. So come on, you need to give that back to the body, and you owe that to your body. And I know you love those fuzzy drinks and all those other different ones, but it's not good for your body. So, and then meditation, I think. I love that. Instead of medication, try some meditation.
Bring some spiritual balance into your life.
Yes, for sure. And you know how many people put on weight during the COVID? Over 42% of the population became heavier than they were. And women especially put on like 30 pounds.
I'm definitely part of that statistic. Unfortunately, it was the time that this non-baker decided to pull out the family recipes and try every single baked good that my mother or grandmother used to make.
Oh.
Oh my God,
me.
Janet, you also joined another statistic. Some people started baking during COVID and they've become like really great at it. I'm sure your recipes are amazing. Maybe one day Kimberly and I can come and sort of try those out.
Well, and that's comfort food, those old recipes and their flavors and the memories. And we, call it comfort food sometimes, which has got its place, if we don't overindulge.
I like what Kimberly's saying, comfort food, because I remember calling it emotional eating. I don't think I like that one. I like your explanation. I'm going to use that one when I'm having my French fries.
Well, there you go. But there's the link about emotional eating. You don't have any, Galena, we said that during the pandemic, what do you do? Well, I go from the computer to the refrigerator all day long, and then more women are home or not out working physically and making the drive to work or working from home. So, it's all been more tempting.
And Janet, I have to add something here. I have a couple of patients who told me these stories. This is not when we were going through COVID. So fine, we understand COVID put us under certain stressful situations and we started eating more. We didn't have anything much to do. But I'm talking about people before COVID, where I have some patients who told me their little histories of how they became diabetic. And they said that sometimes when they were under a lot of stress, they would grab a whole cake and eat it up. That one individual can eat the whole box of chocolates or get a bucket. I think we see that in movies, right? Getting a bucket of ice cream from the freezer and just finishing it yourself. It's, but that's how it happens. And you put on weight. And like I told you, when we put on weight, it's a precursor. You see, it's more like it's going to lead to diabetes. Overweight people are increasing their risk. Sedentary lifestyle is increasing your risk to developing this terrible condition.
You bring up a good point saying that, people who are eating out of their emotions or out of their depression. Depression is such a big part of our society right now. And so I think that that's probably another strategy that people can use to manage their food intake, is to make sure that they're monitoring their mental health and getting help if they have too much stress in their life, if they have depression in their life, and just taking care of mind, body, and spirit.
Definitely, Janet.
Kimberly, is there anything that you want to add to things we can do to help those blood sugar levels?
Well, there are certain ingredients that have been shown to lower blood sugar, or if you eat, say, a high fiber fruit or vegetable with sugar, that helps to lower that glycemic index. That's been proven, pretty much by the nutritionist. So again, back to that balance.
What about supplementation?
Supplementation, definitely. There's herbs like cinnamon has been studied a lot. Fenugreek, there's various herbs. Some of the herbs that we've been studying have a profound effect on some of these metabolic things, and they're basically just foods or plants. So if you can work with nature to lower the blood sugar and work with your diet and all these other things, become aware, like Dr. Samina is saying, look at that label, like you've had that discussion today, and be aware of sugar in that yogurt or that granola bar and pay attention. So those are all good points.
Since we're talking about supplementation, I want to switch topics a little bit and talk about LifePharm's product, Extrim Shape. Dr. Samina, you were just here and we talked about Extrim Shape in terms of it being a product that is going to help bust the weight loss plateau and help with weight management. But I know that there's been a recent evaluation, and LifePharm has found that there's been some surprising results in terms of how this product can impact blood sugar. So let's talk a little bit about that. First, let me ask you, Kimberly, what is in Extrim Shape?
Well, it's a blend of plants and plant extracts, all natural, and a variety, working with nature, like I said, of things to bring together that can help lower the carbohydrate after you eat a meal, so that so much sugar is not going into your bloodstream. And that particular ingredient that's fascinating is called white kidney bean. And it has been studied in numerous clinical studies, as we reviewed all the studies to look at this ingredient for this formula. And taken at the right level, which is in this product, it has been shown over a month or two to start to curb the appetite. There's been some body weight loss. The body mass index has improved. If people will stay on the regimen with white kidney bean alone, they've had very good results, moving away from a buffet table after the second week of taking a dosage.
So when you say moving away from the buffet table, do you mean that it helps alleviate cravings?
Exactly. And you feel fuller. There's ingredients also that will absorb water, a fiber that absorbs a lot of water. And so when it does, it makes you feel fuller. It tells your tummy, tells your brain, oh, I'm pretty full now. I don't need to eat quite so much. If I'll slow down and eat slowly, then there's other hormones from the brain to the stomach that click in and say, oh, I'm full now. I'm satisfied. I don't need to eat more. I'm emotionally okay. I don't need another bite of that to make me feel comfortable. If all these things that we're balancing in our life and we're in balance, then we're using nature to say stop that sugar craving or make me feel full faster, that supports me walking away from that table earlier or not getting that second helping, so to speak.
And do these ingredients make it so that sugar is not as pleasant tasting?
Yes, there's actually a couple of herbs where they actually have been found to affect the taste buds. So you're not directly affecting your taste buds. But if you took a bite of one of those Extrem tablets and then you ate something sugary, it would not taste nearly as sugary to you. That chocolate cookie wouldn't taste the same. But this is working orally. You're swallowing the tablet, but it still can have an effect on your taste buds. So sugar isn't quite as interesting to you when you're taking a regimen and keeping this herb in your system. You're not going to crave sweets as much.
Now, I won't go over all the ingredients in the product because, again, Dr. Samina and I just talked about this recently, and we sort of did a pretty good overview of the different ingredients. But acacia gum is in this product. What is it that acacia gum does? How does that help?
And that's the one that I'm kind of referring to, that absorbs about 7 times its weight in water. And so when it gets into your tummy, it expands. If you take it prior to your meal and let it dissolve and expand for about an hour prior to sitting down to your lunch or dinner, and then it will make you feel fuller faster. And that's called an appetite suppressant.
But not the type of appetite suppressants that are found in the traditional weight loss products that actually make you jittery. Is that correct?
Well, some of those that make you jittery are actually going to speed up your metabolism in your cells a little bit, kind of turn your cells on, but oftentimes they contain more powerful chemicals like ephedra or high doses of caffeine. You know, caffeine is added to a lot of dietary supplements and sports supplements. It does give your cells, it opens the blood vessels, and delivery and metabolism are enhanced. But there again, you have that side effect, or when does that get out of your system? When you don't want it anymore and you feel jittery. So this product doesn't have either of those types of additives in it.
That's great. That's great. Now, we talked about the fact that you had enrolled some subjects for a product evaluation study. Let's talk about that. So, Kimberly, you're the Executive Research and Development Scientist for LifePharm, and Dr. Samina, you're a Scientific Advisory Board member for the company. So the two of you were very involved in this study. Now, there was also a research associate, Galina Penna. She's not with us today, but hopefully we could have her visit with us at some point in the future to talk a little bit more about this really interesting study. So subjects were monitored for a period of time. Tell me about how the study was conducted.
So we had a group of subjects who volunteered to, enter this program, and we gave them certain specifics on how they should take the supplement. So the protocol was that they have to take 1 tablet of Extrem an hour before their heaviest meal, and then another one later. It's like 2 meals in a day, right? So 1 before each heaviest meal and 2 a day for about 90 days. And they were told that they could eat whatever they wanted to. We were not stopping that at all. We were allowing them to continue with the way they eat. So there were no restrictions on their diet. And after the 90-day period, we tried to evaluate them through certain analyses. But during this 90-day period also, we, before they started the whole program, we took their weight, we took their BMI. They were also, their sugar was checked to see also if they have any chronic diseases. But one thing important here was that they were all overweight. Some might have been obese as well. And then during this whole time, I remember also we were very careful about taking measurements, and we taught them how to measure themselves in certain areas so that we can see a difference if they're losing any inches and how their BMI is after a period of time. So during these 90 days, they were also monitoring themselves, and we were also taking care of their measurements and their, different statistics.
So what results from the study were noted?
So subjects with somewhat high blood sugar were monitored, And these were the people who were consuming 2 Extrim daily, one before each heaviest meal for about 90 days. And they showed an average drop in blood sugar by 15 units on a blood sugar monitoring device. Now, we took the questionnaires to them and they answered all our questions, which were basically on their weight, their blood pressure, sugar, their BMI. And we were obviously during that course of time also monitoring how much in inches they lost in different areas. And I have to tell you that a few of the people that I interviewed during the course of this study, they mentioned that they really improved, their constipation. I remember one lady after 2 weeks of taking Extrem Shape said that she doesn't have constipation anymore. And then there was another lady who said she doesn't have brain fog. Her energy levels are better. And one of the subjects definitely mentioned her cravings for sugar had diminished. They were not there. She wasn't really feeling like eating anything sweet. She even mentioned that sometimes in the middle of the night she would wake up and go to the refrigerator, pick out an ice cream from the freezer and eat it. She said, I'm not doing that anymore. So we saw these interesting sort of observations. But Galina and I also monitored these patients on certain tools like Veda Pulse. And we also did some monitoring on quantum analyzer. And I would like Kimberly to actually mention what we saw with the quantum analyzer. And then I'll let you know what I found on the Veda Pulse.
Yes, and the quantum analyzer is a standard instrument that is used in the wellness industry as a medical device, and so is the Veda Pulse. And I wanted to quickly say that some of these new technologies that have come are important because they are able to measure, in the case of the Veda Pulse, the heart rate. And Samina will tell you more about that. And then the quantum analyzer is similar to a concept of bioelectrical impedance analysis, where you put clamps on your legs and your arms, and you're actually measuring physics and the water capacity, and they get a number of statistics and body functions from doing these. Realize that in real life, I can't see what goes on in your brain without dissecting it or taking some tissue out of it. And these are invasive procedures. That's why research is limited. And so there's other means that have been developed in our wellness industry that are starting to measure and make correlations, and they are scientific. And Galina actually has a degree in engineering and has followed the wellness community for a long time, looking at various ways to measure certain parameters that are of interest to the medical professional. So using this quantum analyzer, we found that 75% of the subjects that were on the regimen, taking the Extrem product of 2 daily for 90 days, and they were monitored, they showed a decrease in fat storage in the liver. Excess blood sugar is stored as fat, of course, and then one of the first places it accumulates is around the liver, because this is the big biochemistry organ of the body. And a fatty liver causes a lot of problems in itself, which we won't get in here today. But this is a very good indicator that the sugar in the body was being lowered when you see this number go down after 90 days on the product.
I've seen a lot of press about fatty liver disease. Would this product help someone who has fatty liver disease?
It very well may be supportive to that, indeed. And then Dr. Samina can tell us about the interesting Veda Pulse results that they got over this period of time.
Yes, Kimberly, we were so excited because Galina's been, doing a lot of work with Weather Pulse. She's the lady in the US to bring it to the United States as such, this tool. It's a tool for, from functional medicine, and Europe got it first, but now it's also available in North America. Now, Galina and I, through the Veda Pulse, were able to measure the heart rate variability because this is a particular tool which monitors, assesses the condition of the heart through an ECG, and you're able through those mechanical electrical waves which make up the pulse to find out if the patient or the person you're doing the study for has a healthy heart. So heart rate variability is a huge index for the state of your health. Then we were able to measure the energy fields, bioenergy fields, which are part of the chakras that we try to, look at in Ayurveda as well. And the interesting thing, Kimberly, is with Veda Pulse that you're able to assess, diagnose, and look at a person from 3 different modalities, from modern medicine perspective, from Chinese traditional medicine, and also Ayurveda. So it's phenomenal how much information you can get from this tool on the state of health. Like we can find out, Janet, how you're aging, what your biological age is, and then right now, where are you at, right? And then the other thing we can find out is your adaptation, which means, are you expending too much energy, something you don't even have, or do you have a great balance between spending and saving, and then your stress level? So we did this with Extrem Shape. And when we monitored them on our, Veda Pulse, we were able to see most of our statistics, whether it was energy field, adaptation, or stress index. We saw an improvement in 80% of the subjects that took 2 Extreme daily for 90 days. So this was phenomenal.
That is.
So, anything else about the study that you want to tell us?
Well, another thing that we saw improve from the quantum analyzer instrument was an increase in this memory index. This is a parameter measured by this instrument, and it was improved in 80% of the subjects who took the 2 Extreme daily for 90 days. And this is an interesting index. It has to do, again, I won't explain the machine and the algorithms that are used, and we'll just trust it because it's measuring also at the base of the brain, which is called the hypothalamus. And this is an area that is associated with the memory functions. And so, especially in older people, we start to get atherosclerosis in our blood vessels of the brain. They get clogged up too with cholesterol and plaque, and now beta amyloid plaque, other things, get sticky up there. And that's what we're trying to fight and keep those blood vessels open, keep the sugar out of there, because sugar accumulates and clogs up blood vessels and weakens them. So this was really a good indicator that the product was helping, because, see, if you lower the blood sugar, then you lower some of that stickiness that goes on in the blood vessels and plaque formation, and this is a good sign.
Excellent. So based on the study, who would you recommend Extreme Shape to?
Well, I think it would be good for anybody. Again, our products, a dietary supplement formulation that's produced in a good manufacturing practice facility lab, which is regulated by the FDA, the actual facility. And a product like this is for an adult or someone even over 12, as our labeling restrictions go. A child that begins to be at more of an adult size can take a similar dosage as the adult, which is on a lot of different dietary supplements. This is a very safe product. It's not something that has anything in it taken at these levels that would be contraindicated or unsafe. Like we said, it has no hyperstimulants in it, and it's good for you. All the ingredients are good or well researched for safety, so it can be used, it can be modified if you don't want to take 2 a day. If you want to work with 1 at your heaviest meal, then that's okay. Try that. It's just another good supplement that you should be introducing into your regimen. Because again, like LifePharm does, is they make a very good formula. These formulas by LifePharm take a lot more input and research. We spend hours reading and finding the clinical studies on any type of ingredient before it goes into a product for effectiveness, for safety, and value, added to the body. So this is a really good formula. Now you're not going to drop 5 pounds in 1 week, unless you do something else. It's not extreme in its activity, but remember, we're lowering blood sugar. We're talking about the 6 teaspoons is really all the sugar you should have in your diet. Well, we're all getting far more than that. So we've got to keep that blood sugar level down, and this is the product that is proving to have these benefits. And once we improve blood sugar, we have an energy field that improves, our stress and our adaptation, our ability to ward off emotional and physiological stress improves. And we have some of our LifePharm egg in this product, which helps cells regenerate and rejuvenate. And, we've shown that in various studies. The telomeres are improved over time. And so, we're doing something good for our body. And so I would recommend this to anyone that's, that has a weight problem, wants to lose 5 to 10 pounds, elderly people or people over 50 that are going to start struggling with the problems of being overweight. We're more sedentary. Remember, that's when our hormones go away, our estrogen goes away, so we can't just eat anything. Our body chemistry has changed. So this type of product is going to support you. And it's slow but sure, like the old fairy tale, the hare and the tortoise, slow and steady. And wins the race. At the end of the day, if you're, you can look at yourself over a period of year. What did my weight? Did I stay the same? That's good for a lot of people. Did I lose 10 pounds and keep it off? Did I lose a dress size and keep it off? What a wonderful feeling to go in there and, I can't wear that size anymore. Did I save back a few jeans that were in this other size,
I'd love to say that.
And another thing, Kimberly, we're living in a time and age where there is always like a lot of stimulus in our lives, where every year they say after New Year's, literally at that time, gazillion books are published on how you can lose weight or a new fad diet. And what I tell people is stop wasting your money on these diet plans or these books or whatever, because according to statistics, 80% of people, 80% of successful diet fans who went on a diet plan and lost weight, they put it back on after 2 years and more. So why are you going to do the same thing? It's like doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different outcome. Guess what? It's not going to happen. So go ahead and then invest in taking a supplement or a product when you know that you are going to be that slow and steady wins the race kind of a person, but you will also benefit a lot of systems in your body. Like Kimberly just said, you are going to literally cause cellular regeneration. You're going to fix the soil in your, body. Your basic cellular health will improve. You will improve your gut health. and you will feel better, your digestive system. You won't have the jitters, which you do get from the diet. And guess what? You will be on your way to a healthy life, and you will maintain that. It won't be a flip-flop situation. So I really feel that all the ingredients in this particular product, especially the herbs, and one of them is an Ayurvedic herb, which is called a sugar destroyer. I love that. It reduces your cravings for sugar. It also makes you kind of get put off from sugary stuff. Why not,
Well, thank you so much, Professor Kimberly and Dr. Samina. It was great, as always, to talk to both of you, and I hope you'll keep coming back to educate us on healthy living and cellular repair.
Oh, thank you, Janet. It's always delightful.
It was a pleasure, and I really love this conversation where Kimberly was also with us.
Me too. This was great.
We all had a nice discussion.
And listeners, if you missed our previous episodes with Professor Kimberly on inflammation and the immune system, or with Dr. Samina on weight loss plateaus, please check out those episodes. Thank you so much for listening to Healthy Cells, Healthy You with me, your host, Janet Walker. Find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and tell your friends. Together, we'll build healthy cells and a healthy you. A listener note: Extrim Shape is manufactured in a facility that upholds current good manufacturing practices and is U.S. Food and Drug Administration compliant. It is safe to consume for adults or children over 12 years. While there are no documented cases or instances of adverse reactions, please don't take Extrim Shape if you are allergic to eggs, fish, or soy. If you have any concerns, health conditions, or if you are taking a blood thinner medication, please consult with your physician.